Your internal guidance system, your higher self, the fractal of God's consciousness that you are, only ever exists in the present moment. All of the goals and the lists that you make of what am my to-do list for today, my to-do list for this week, these are all created by the mind based off of a projected goal that our ego most likely has created based on a sense of future or past. And while this is fine, this is okay, you must be willing to then surrender every single list and every single goal that you have and sink deeply into the presence, the awareness that exists here now that is guiding you specifically into what you came here to create, to embody. You must trust this guidance system so deeply that if all of the tasks on your to-do list do not get complete today, that's okay. They just weren't meant to get done then. You must understand that the internal guidance system, your higher self, the spark of God's consciousness, knows far better than you what you came here to do in this lifetime than your ego mind could ever even possibly comprehend. And most of the time, it has less to do with the external and more to do with the internal or internal world, which, by the way, are the reason we came here is to break past and through all limitations created by the mind, to live our most limitless, infinite, abundant life possible, because that's what we are. We are the limitless, infinite presence of the divine, and we came here to break through any and all barriers created by our mind to keep us from living in that state of awareness. But you must trust and build a relationship with this inner guidance through deep work, doing your shadow work, becoming aware of the stories that you tell yourself, like, I have to work hard in order to make money. I have to be likable in order to be successful. Whatever the stories are that you are creating about reality are your limitations, are your limitations. And it's those very limitations that you came here to break through. Your guidance system is only ever in the present moment, because everything else is created by the ego, is created by this limited, small mind. There is no future. There is no tomorrow. There is no this year or last year or yesterday. There is only the present moment. Literally, there is only right here, right now. And your only job is to be as present in each moment as you can possibly be. Your only job is to fully embody every present moment as it arrives naturally. There is no forcing, there is no pushing, there is no controlling, there's no manipulating that needs to take place. All there is to simply be with what is here now. And this is where your guidance system lives, is in this timeless, ever-present moment. You will know exactly what to do in each next now moment. It's not something that you have to control or figure out. It's not something you need to spend the morning thinking about. What am I going to do today? Well, I have to get done this, and I have to get done that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Let go of all of that. That is still coming from fear. Fear that if you don't do all of those things, your life is going to fall apart or not go the exact way that you want it to go. And you have to learn how to trust that in each next now moment, you will absolutely be presented with the next best thing for you to do, which doesn't always mean working on or towards your goals or your job or this persona that you have created, because your purpose is not your job. Your job is a role that you are playing. Like, making YouTube videos and sharing these messages is not my purpose. It's a role I enter into when I press record. My purpose is not to make sure I get a video out every single day. My purpose is to live in the present moment and to become aware of any and all limitations keeping me back from being my most expansive, abundant, limitless version of myself. And in each moment, when I am in the flow, just moving through life, going to the gym, personal training, eating my food, doing the dishes, walking my dog, that is usually when I'm in the present moment with exactly what I'm doing, that I am the most at peace. I am the most content. I understand more clearly what it is I'm doing here. And it is not something I can put into words. I can't tell you what it is. Just like you cannot actually tell me what your purpose is in being here on this planet, because it's not something you can put into words. It's not something that can be logically understood by our minds. And the more time that we spend trying to logically understand what it is we're doing here, the further and further and further and further away we are getting from the actual truth of what it is we are doing here. It is something that you can only feel in the present moment. And before you begin to have clarity and connection with this awareness, you have to clear out the gunk. You must remove the layers of limiting beliefs, of trauma. You must do this shadow work, which shadow work, yeah, it can be something that you just sit down and write in your journal about, but shadow work is something that you do in each moment that it is presented to you. In every moment that you are presented with a discomfort, a limitation, a preconceived notion, a judgment, that is the perfect moment for you to do your shadow work. It's something that you do throughout daily walking life. You don't have to set aside time to do your shadow work. Anytime you get triggered by somebody, that's an opportunity to do your shadow work. Anytime that you judge somebody, there's an opportunity to do some shadow work. Anytime that you're feeling low or you're beating yourself up, there's an opportunity to do some shadow work. The shadow work that you need to do is being presented to you in the present moment. It's not something you have to go searching and seeking for. It is actually the discomfort that arises in the present moment that we try to escape by scrolling, by eating sugar, by binge watching Netflix, whatever it is that we're using to escape reality. It's because we have some backed up work to do in the present moment. And it's not like some grueling task that you have to figure out with your mind. It's something that you view from an embodied place and then do what feels the most natural in that moment, whether it's scream into a pillow or do a weird dance or do some deep belly breathing. Whatever it is that's going to be the best way for you to clear this stagnant energy will arise to you in the present moment, but you will not know if you're never in the present moment, if you're never with the eternal awareness that has always been and will always be within you. If you're never in the present moment, if you're always allowing your thoughts to control you, to disillusion you, to hypnotize you, you'll never know. You must be brave. You must be disciplined. You must be determined, dedicated. Because this takes a practice of coming back home to yourself every time you get lost. Every time you spend 3 days binge watching TV because something triggered you and you didn't feel like dealing with it, so you just watched TV for 3 days straight. That's okay. Grace, compassion, forgiveness. But then at some point you must decide to face it. Otherwise, you're going to spend your entire life in a numbed out state caused by believing a limitation. Because that's all that is ever arising. Our triggers are only ever presenting us with a limitation. A limitation that is meant to be viewed and plucked out so that we can be filled with more infinite abundance, more infinite joy, more infinite peace, more God consciousness. But you can only grow in your awareness of the spark of God's consciousness that is within you as much as you are willing to empty out the limitations that is not you, that which is not you. The limiting beliefs, the judgments, the fears, the stories. You must be willing to view the world in vastly and drastically new ways. You must be willing to move with the flow of life, which is not always comfortable. To move into more peace, into more joy, into more limitlessness and abundance. There's not just some like quick hack. Like, for example, taking Ozempic doesn't, not saying this to offend anybody. This is just an analogy. Just because you take Ozempic and you lose a bunch of weight doesn't mean that you're healthy. It just means that you look thinner. Your health is more about what's going on the inside rather than how you look on the outside. Your life goes far deeper than what the external looks like. Just because you take the quick pill and you get the car and you manifest the new job and you get married and you do all the things doesn't mean that your life is free from limitations. Just means that it looks pretty to the cookie cutter dream that we have been sold. But it's not the truth of what you came here to do or experience. The truth of what you came here to do and experience is so much deeper, so much more profound than the physical reality could ever provide you with. Your spiritual health is something that is being offered for you to look at and work with in every single moment. It's not something that you just do on the side. It's something that is an integral, can't say that word, part of your everyday life. It's something that you move through life as, not something that you do. And that is where you begin to gain clarity, purpose. I mean, essentially, even your purpose falls away. You understand that you were searching for your purpose, but that was only ever an egoic desire to feel important or to feel special. Even that will eventually fall away because you won't be using your thinking mind so much. You will simply just be at peace in the present moment, experiencing what is. Because you understand that that is where your limitless potential exists. Your limitless potential does not exist at the end of a to-do list. Your limitless potential exists right here, right now, in this moment. If only you are courageous and patient and disciplined and determined and dedicated enough to sift through all the gunk to get to the core. Being spiritual is not something that you do. It's something that you are. Listening to your guidance system isn't something that you do. It's something that you are. It's not in creating a life plan or a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. It's not something that you map out because you're trying to manifest with your mind. It's something that you surrender to and allow to flow through you as the divine unfolding of what you already are as you express it into physical reality. And that is when you are able to truly enjoy the ride and not just waiting for the destination. It's realizing that you simply just have to be here now. Everything that you are worried about does not exist. Everything that you are worried about is an illusion of the mind trying to keep you trapped in the future and in the past, because that is where the ego can manipulate and control you. It's only when you courageously release your tight grip on the past and the future that all of your worries fall away, and all you're left with is an infinite peace and bliss and flow. And you never, ever, 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 ever wonder if what you are doing is right, because there is no right. There is only now. There is only what you are doing now that will eventually lead you to wherever it is your soul has imprinted upon this lifetime. There is a higher destiny calling you. And yes, you can manipulate your life and create your own destiny. You have free will. You can absolutely create these life plans and manipulate your life into giving you what you think you want. You can absolutely do that. But I'm telling you, it's not going to be as grand or as fulfilling as the destiny that was already predetermined by you before you came down into this lifetime. It's not like there's some God outside of you that decided your life. I feel like we have this like weird idea of following our destiny as God mapped it out for us, because we have been so like, it's been so drilled into us, the story of Jesus, where like eventually he gets crucified and he dies, but he was following God's plan. And we're like, oh my God, that sounds horrible. I don't want to be crucified. If that's what God has planned for me, I don't want to do it. And so then we try to manipulate life with our minds. But the thing is that there is no outside God manipulating your life for you. Jesus chose to do that to help set the path for freeing humanity. And it made his soul so, like, happy is not even the way to describe it. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, he was more than pleased to walk himself to his eventual crucifixion, because it meant something so much bigger and so much greater to his soul that his little self, his human self, could not even really understand. And that's just like us. I'm not saying that we're walking ourselves to a crucifixion. I'm saying that that's probably why in the back of our minds we don't want to surrender and follow God's plan. Like, if we'll just end up like Jesus and he got crucified. I don't want to do that. It's my understanding and my belief. Now, I'm interjecting my own understanding of it, so take it or leave it, that the reason Jesus did that is so that we no longer have to be crucified. He already kind of did the thing that needed to be done. We get to be free. We get to be expanded in this lifetime. We get to be limitless. Jesus did what he did so that we could come and, by following God's plan, live an embodied, limitless, infinite, abundant state of being. And so now when we think about following the highest plan for us, it's not some God outside of us that wrote it for us. It was us before we came into this lifetime. And it's essentially to break all limitations and be as free and expanded and as infinite and as abundant as we possibly can, beyond what our minds could possibly conceive of. So when we surrender to the present moment, we're not giving anything up. We are opening ourselves to a more limitless life. Why do we not want to do that? Why are we in resistance? Because in order to do that, in order to truly surrender, we must break through the barriers of our ego, which are terrifying. It's terrifying to break through the limitations of our ego, because the limitations of our ego are essentially like, to our small mind, like that's the end of the earth. If you break through the limitation, you're just going to walk off the face of the earth and plummet into death. It's like, okay, but what if I told you once you walked off the cliff, the world reoriented itself and you just landed on your feet? That there was never actually like a dip. You were never actually going to fall down and die. After you stepped off the cliff, the world was actually going to shift to catch you. When you break through the limitations, the world is going to shift to catch you. But first, you must break the limitation by taking steps outside of the limitations. I hope that makes sense. You can't just sit inside of a limited box and pray for your limitations to be taken away. You have to take the step off of the cliff so that you can see that after you do that, the world is actually going to shift and change to catch you. You were never actually limited. It was just an illusion. Well, Murph needs a bath. Yeah, baby. He don't like that word, sorry. He needs a little bath. He's a little stinky. So I'm going to go. I hope that this landed, because this is where we break through the barriers. This is where we are shown the truth of who we are, not in playing small and worrying about the future, but in surrendering everything and trusting so deeply in the present moment that we just turn our brains off essentially and let the force of what we are guide us through life. Okay? Goodbye.